Hi, welcome to this beginner's tutorial in Davinci Resolve 16. So if you don't have a copy of Davinci Resolve, you can go to the Blackmagic website or Google search Davinci Resolve and then go to this page and go down. In the bottom you can find this free version and the studio version. There's not much difference between the free and the studio version. The great thing about Davinci Resolve is that it's free for life. There is not a limited trial period. So you can study the software and use it for your life. So after downloading this, we can just launch the program. After installing Resolve and launching the program, you will be taken to this dialog box here. So the first thing you have to do is you have to create a project. So you can click the button here and give a name to the project. So I have already created a project called tutorials. You click on that. So you will be taken to the Davinci Resolve interface. So most of you have been thinking of changing from another software to Resolve. So Resolve is very powerful now with the new version. So let's take a look at the different tabs and how you go about. So first thing you have to do is the media page. In the media page you can import the files. So whenever you start a project you can import the files by selecting them. So let's select these files. And you can drag and drop them into the clips in the media pool. So they will ask project will have a different frame rate. You can just change it according to your needs. So now the clips have been imported. You can put it into a different bin if you like. So you can put the clips into bins. So as you have now imported some files, let's import this audio files. After importing a media, let's go to the edit page. The workflow is from left to the right. So this is the edit page. This is like any other nonlinear editor like Premiere Pro, etc. To open a file, just double click on it and it will open up in the source panel. To select a portion, set a in and out point. To set a in point, hit the I button. Set the out point, hit the O button. To bring the clip into the timeline, drag and drop it. So the clip has come into the timeline. You can trim a clip by dragging it, move it around. If there are more than one clip, for example, if there are two clips, if you drag it, it will leave a gap. You can select this trim edit mode so that the gap is filled. If I trim now, you can see that the gap is filled. You can also bring a clip by dragging and dropping it to the program monitor. You can overwrite, replace, insert. So now the clip is overwritten. To cut a clip, select the blade tool. You can cut it into pieces. If you have the selection tool and trim the end, it will leave a gap as mentioned earlier. If you do not want to leave the gap, select the trim mode. and the gap will disappear. So next thing is the inspector window. If you select a clip, it will have many properties like zoom, position, anchor point, etc. So if you change this, you can change the opacity. You can zoom in on the clip. To reset any properties, hit the button here and it will reset. The clip can also be stabilized. It has inbuilt stabilization. Let's take a look at the effects panel. So there are many types of effects. You can apply video transition. There are also effects which you can put on the video. Let's apply this Gaussian blur. So drag and drop it. You can go to the open effects and this effect is applied. You can increase, decrease the strength. Let's take a look at the cut page. The cut page is a simplified version of the edit page. As you can see, there are small icons everywhere for the most used functions. To begin looking at the cut page, you can view the media in different views. You can view the clips in a continuous view as rows and the default view. Let's create a new timeline. You can see that there is only one window as compared to the edit page. We have a source window and the program window, but in the cut page there is only one window which acts as both program and source window. So when you double click, you can choose in and out point. To insert a clip, you have these buttons here. So you have the smart insert and it will insert to wherever your timeline is. To append a clip, you can select a portion of a clip and hit the append button and the clip is appended to the end of this clip. Now you can see that there are two timelines present. So there is a top timeline which acts as a map. So you don't need to zoom in and out when using the cut page. For example, if you have a 30-minute timeline, you can go to the 30th minute easily without zooming in. If I move this clip to the end, to go to this clip, you can easily click here and go to the clip. If you want to go to the beginning, you can click here. So the top timeline acts as a map. There are two options for the playhead. Actually now it's locked. You can unlock the playhead and move it freely. Usually we leave it in the lock mode. You can cut a clip by hitting the cut button here, scissor button. You can also select the scissor by right clicking here and selecting the scissor. So you can move it, right click and hit the scissor to cut the clip. In order to insert a new video, you can use a ripple overwrite. If I select a new portion of a clip, if I need to insert it between this, let me color the clip as violet. So if I need to insert this clip, I will hit the ripple overwrite and it gets inserted in between the two clips. Also, there is an option here called source tape. What this will do is all the media or all the videos which you have, it will be showed as a single clip. End of the first clip, you will see this bar. So this is the first clip. This is the end of the first clip, and it will go to the next clip. This is the end of the second clip. So this makes it easy to easily select portions and make a rough cut. To add a transition, you have the transition icons here. There is a dissolve, so it adds a dissolve quickly between the clips. You can see that the inspector button is missing. The inspector button is missing in the cut page. It is actually here under the tools menu. So if you select a clip, you have all the options to change. Now let's move on to the Fusion page. To edit a clip in the Fusion page, select a particular clip. So we'll be working on the clip and then hit the Fusion page. The Fusion page is where you will be doing VFX, titles and animations. So it will look some confusing at the first. So there are two windows here actually. So it is not like in the edit page. So you have these two holes here. If you want to see the media in, you have to click on this icon and it will show. The media in is the clip which you have selected in the cut page. The media out is the final product. For example, to add a blur, click on this media in and hit the blur button. Now a blur will be added. You can change the properties of the blur here. So the input is shown here, the first icon. The output is shown in the second window. So you can select whatever you need to display. Now let's create a dialog box from the start. So to do that, let's delete this. Then hit the background button here. So Fusion has added a merge node. And you can see that the output has become black color because the whole screen is filled with this black color. You can change the color of this background. In order to create a dialog box shape, let's first add this polygon tool. So it is used to draw a shape. So select this and hit the polygon button. Now a polygon tool is drawn here. To see whatever is happening in this merge node, you hit the first icon so you can see what is happening. So let's draw a dialog box shape roughly here. So now we have created something like a dialog box. Now to add a text to this, there is a text button here. So you the background button and hit text. And you can see that it is like a flow chart. You can easily identify what is happening in this when you are creating animation or VFX. To add a text, you can hit the button here and hello. You can move around the text here and place it on top. So what we need to do is we need to track this movement of the turtle with the dialog. So this is the navigation window here. Down you can see that I can scroll to the clip. So what we will do now is we will track this. To do that, first let's add a tracker. So we can delete this and add a tracker. To add a tracker, go to the effects, go down to tracking and add a tracker. So now a tracker is added. You can connect this to the tracker. So you can see that a tracker is added. Now we have to select a point where you want to track the turtle. So we selected a point here. And what we have to do is we have to go to the beginning of the clip and then hit the track forward button. So the tracker has tracked the movement of the turtle. Now the next step is to select the tracker, go to operation and hit match move. So what this does, it will track the dialog box with the movement of the turtles. So let's see it from the beginning. So when we play it, you can see that the dialog box is moving along with the turtle. So this is just an example of what we can do in the Fusion page. This is a very vast topic. So you just have to keep in mind that this works like a flowchart. Whatever you need to see in these two windows, you can select this anyone. If you want to see this text, you can select, and only the text will be displayed in the first window. The color page is where you will be color grading and correcting your footage. So until now we have imported the media, we have edited the footage, we have done some VFX, and we are moving to color page. So it is not necessary that we follow this. We can color grade in between. The thing about Resolve is wherever you move the cursor, it will be reflected in the different pages. The cursor will be, or the playhead will be the same position everywhere. So this is the interface of the color page. This is where you can view the clips. There is a gallery where you can save the color grade. There's a media pool to import the footage. Here we view the clips in the image format. There is also a timeline option to view the different clips as a mini timeline. These are the color tools. The first one is the color wheels. It consists of lift, gamma, gain, and offset. Lift is the darker parts of the image. Gamma is the mid-tones of the image. Gain is the highlights or the brighter parts of the image. So if you need to do a correction, you can click here and then drag it. You can see the color of the video change. You need to reset, you can double click on this and will reset. To change the intensity of the image, you can turn the wheels here. This will increase the brightness of the image. If you need to pull down the shadows or the darker regions, you can move it to the left side so it will become darker. There is also options to change the saturation of the image here. You can reset by double clicking. The next one is the curves tool. This also works the same way. Before that, let's look at the scopes. So the scopes are essential in doing color correction or grading. So this is the representation of this image. It is from the left to the right. So if you move this, you can see that when the fish is moving, the image is changing here. The waveform is changing in the waveform. So we read it from left to the right. So left to the right. And this is the highlights. This is the dark regions for the shadows. There are also the parade. This shows the red, green and blue channels which makes up the image. The intensity of the different. You can see that blue is greater in this image. There's the vectorscope. So this is like, it shows the skin tone. Here we don't have a subject or a human. Let's take a look at the curves. This is the highlights. If you pull it to the right, the image becomes brighter. You pull the highlights down to become darker. You can see the waveform changing here as you alter the highlights. If we change the shadows, you can see that the shadows become darker. It is pulled down. If you need to make the shadows brighter, you have to pull it up. So you need to change the midtones, you can click and make a point here and alter the midtones. The next thing here is the qualifier. The qualifier is used to select a particular color and change the value. Let's reset everything. So let's pick a color. Let's pick this color. So that color has been selected. Now if you change something, only that color will be changed. So you can see the yellow color appearing in the selected portions. The next is a window. So there are different types of window. There is a square window. What happens is when you move this window, only inside this window, whatever color correction you apply, it will be applied on inside this window. If I change some color inside, let me change the color inside to something drastic. You can see that it is only applied inside the image. So the most important thing is this node structure. So these are like in the Fusion page, what happened in the Fusion page. You can consider it like that. To add a node, let's do some color correction. Let's color correct this image. So if I change the brightness of the image, you can see that a node is added and it has reflected. This is the first step. I have changed the brightness of this image. To add another node, you can hit Alt S and a second node is added. So in this node, let me add a window to select a particular point. So let me select the point head of this and let me try to change the color of that head part only. So you can see that the head part only. So this is like a flowchart itself. So you can know what all you have applied. So in the first one you have increased the brightness, the second one you have added a window. So it is like step-by-step process. You can also do tracking in this, which we did in the Fusion page. In this lesson, we will be learning how you can color correct the skin tone of a person. So to do that, you have to add 3 serial nodes. To add a node, you can just simply hit Alt S and it will add 3 nodes. So the first step is using the waveform. We have to make this image between the 100 and the 0. To do that, go to the gain, increase the highlights and make it to touch. nearly 100, and we have to bring the shadows down to 0. To do that, you can hit the lift button and move it to the left side. So this is the first step using the waveform scope. So to the next step, you have to go to the parade. So the parade shows the color values. So if there is any color cast, you have to remove that. You can see that the blue is bit less in this. So you have to go to the curves here, hit the blue here, and you have to increase this and make it equal to that. So you have made it almost equal. So now you have made all the red, green and blue channels equal so that there is no color cast. The next step is to look at the skin tones. So you can select the vectoroscope. So the vectoroscope shows the skin tone, whether it's correctly lying. So this is the skin tone line, and your character's skin should match this line. So it shouldn't go beyond this range here. You can bring it down if you need. You can increase the saturation. So these are the 3 steps which you should follow to color correct a log footage. So first you have to correct the highlights and shadows, then the color cast using the parade. The third step is you have to check for the skin tones using the vectoroscope, that you can choose many options here to show the skin tone line. The Fairlight page is used to do audio editing. You can also do some editing in the edit page. You can add transitions easily and drag and drop it. Hello, this is on my check. Hello, this is on my check. So you can add effects easily in the edit page. Also, there are many options like noise reduction, pitch, reverb, etc. You can just drag and drop and it will show many options. If I select a concert hall, the voice will be changed. So my check for the tutorial. Hello, this is on my check for the tutorial. So like this, you have presets which you can select easily. So this Fairlight page is like an advanced audio production panel. This is for audio engineers to work on. So the same thing which we have done in the edit page, we can do here. We can add the effects here. We can add an echo, like a large hole. So this will be affected. Hello, this is on my check for the tutorial. There is option to do advanced things to your voice. You can change the pitch, the intensity, etc. So these are some of the tools used by audio engineers. You can also add the dynamics button to add compressor, expander, gate, etc. These are some of the tools used to refine dialogues. The deliver page is where you will be exporting your final file after you have completed editing and color grading. You can also easily export by going to the cut page, hitting the quick export button. You can also directly upload to YouTube and Vimeo if you give your account details. The deliver page, you have to give the file name here for final video and select a location. Then you have these options to select the format to output your video. So QuickTime is the format which we mainly use. The resolution, frame rate, quality. There is an option to render a single clip, the entire video as a single clip and individual clips. So this is the timeline. You can either export the entire timeline or set a in and out range. That is by moving this, setting an in and out point. There are also presets here for YouTube, Vimeo, which Resolve has. You can select this different settings and it will automatically do the settings for you. After you have selected the required setting, you can then hit add to render queue. So now it is added to the render queue and you can just hit the start render button and your file will be output to the folder which you have specified. So now the file has been rendered to the required folder. You can see that the file has been rendered here. To speed up your editing workflow, you can use some shortcuts. So usually when you trim a clip, you use the selection tool and use it to trim the clip. To fill this gap, you select the trim tool and it will close the gap for you. So there are options available in the keyboard customization called the trim end and the trim start. Now it's shift plus open bracket, shift plus closing bracket. So you can change this by clicking on this and giving any keyboard shortcut you require. So what this does is when you select a clip and hit the shift opening bracket, what it does is it deletes the start of the clip, and when you hit shift closing brackets, it trims the end of the clip. So it trims the start and it trims the end.
So this is very helpful when you're moving through a lot of clips. You can easily hit the shift, move to the next clip, and trim the end by hitting the shortcuts easily and speeding up the editing workflow. To make it even more faster, you can go to this timeline and select this option called selection follows playhead. So what this does, it selects the clips which is under your playhead when you're moving it. So you can play this clip and easily go and cut easily. Also, if you want to delete a whole clip, you can just hit the delete button to close the gap. So these are the three things you should change. You should go to the timeline and select this selection follows playhead. Then hit the shift open bracket to trim anything in the starting of the clip. And to trim the end of the clip, you can hit shift closing bracket. Follow my YouTube channel Adeep K to get weekly tutorials and updates. There is also a video editing course on Adobe Premiere Pro CC if you are interested, which covers the basics of editing with Premiere Pro.